Hi guys, I'm Green MLTT and I'm bringing you a field battle today, and it's a 4v4 on a map with terrain, so it's not the typical grassy plains, and the money was 15k I believe, and the rules were max 5 out of 2 cav, no artillery, no guns, no elephants. And I was playing this battle and I was commanding the Papal States. So I brought a bunch of feudal knights, some pikemen behind them to help hold the line, and then a great cross to give them extra morale so that they will hold up extra good against the elite infantry of Portugal and Spain. And then I brought 5 Pavese crossbowmen, which you can do without extra cost as the Papal States, which is very nice and will help me to have an extra edge in the skirmish battle. Then I brought some Knights Hospitaller. I always bring 2 General's Bodyguard because I like the unit. It's very nimble because it's smaller. And my ally to my left here, he brought a bunch of heavy infantry, a couple of crossbowmen, Stradiats, some Knights Templar, and the HRE here, he brought a pretty standard army, Teutonic Knights, pikemen, heavy infantry, Pavese crossbowmen, and this opponent here, he brought some pikemen, conquistadors, Pavese crossbowmen, Knights of Santiago, so pretty standard force. And here we have Milan, a lot of Genoese crossbowmen, I believe 7, so he doesn't have a lot of infantry compared to Venice, but I guess he'll try and compensate for that with his firepower. And then we have the second Portuguese army here. He has some crossbowmen, some cav, and a lot of conquistadors. And then we have the Spanish army here. It is consisting of a lot of pikemen, like 8 pikemen and then 4 conquistadors. So that will be a very powerful pike wall. It's not very maneuverable, but it's strong nonetheless. And finally we have Denmark, who sort of split up his forces, and he's in a quite unfortunate position here, since Spain has the hill advantage. Luckily for him, Spain doesn't have any archers, so he can just run away or something. And he has some crossbowmen, heavy infantry, etc. Norse war clerics also. So the battle is gonna start kicking off kind of quickly here. Spain is moving down the hill and facing Denmark, and I'm sort of just standing here holding my ground against this Portuguese army, which is my main enemy right now. And Venice, he is advancing here while Milan is trying to get into range to get some good shots off with his crossbowmen. But it seems like Venice is gonna keep moving forward. He's not gonna stand still and do a skirmishing phase. And he's pulling in here with his cav. So you see already a big cav battle here. His Stradiats is sort of getting stuck in the battle here, which is not the best because they're a light cav unit. So you really want them to be moving around a lot, hammer and anvil. So they have been basically eliminated, the first unit here, and the Venetian cav is pretty surrounded, and Milan is doing a very good job of surrounding and killing the cav of Venice. And he's also getting some good charges off on the heavy infantry, and that's going to be very useful for Milan since we're going to have to pause here, since he has less infantry than Venice has. So overall, very good start for Milan and a bad start for our team. And we can see here also on the Danish side that there's been a bit of cav fight here between the Danish and the Spanish cav. The Danish came out on top, but the Spanish are moving in with their main infantry force here, and as you can see, a lot of the Danish forces are somewhere here for some reason. So this is gonna be tough for these top couple of guys to hold the line against this huge horde of Spanish infantry. But he did a good job of eliminating the Spanish cav. So we'll go back to this side now. Yeah, and he managed to kill the general also. So I was trying to sort of help my ally, but I didn't want to get him stuck in bad engagements. So I was sort of a bit passive here, waiting for a good opportunity to attack. So I decided to...
We are blessed. Whoa. The enemy general is dead. We have sent the idiot to hell.
So I decided to go in, and HRE are also going in here, trying to support and stop the flanking maneuvers here. And thanks to this standard, his infantry is holding very well here, despite the fact that they're being outflanked by the cavalry. And they're even managing to break some of the feudal knights of Milan, thanks to their great amount of numbers here. So he's taking a lot of casualties, but he managed to persevere, despite the fact that the Milanese cav absolutely slaughtered his cav and also slaughtered the first rank of heavy infantry. And now the Portuguese are moving in. They managed to catch one of my, or two maybe, of my crossbows, but I didn't really care that much because it was pretty obvious that this was going to be an infantry battle and cavalry battle. So I managed to get off a good charge, like Milan here, and quickly turn the infantry battle more in my favor, since I only have feudal knights and some pike militia, while he has aventuros and conquistadors, which are the best units in the game. So I'm trying to flank him here. He's sort of blowing up all of his forces, which is not the best thing to do. My pikemen are going in with the pikes, which is not something you always see. A lot of times the pikemen just drop their pikes. And my general, he got BTFO'd here somewhere. I guess he got like surrounded, I forgot about him. So he has a lot of forces here, and he's gonna charge my pikes. Unfortunate that they were not there with them up. But thanks to my flanking maneuver and some help from the Venetians, we're exploiting the fact that he was very bunched up. So his forces are now breaking. And he has some cavalry left, and I also have some. So I'm gonna try and target them with some crossbows. Not the best angle, unfortunately. So if you look here, the Danish basically just got surrounded and destroyed very easily by the Spanish, since they had so many more troops, and there was not much the Danish cav could do about it. But he still has some forces here, some axemen that he sent around, and a lot of cavalry, which is good. And then meanwhile up here, there's been mostly a cold war between the two factions. Mostly as archers killing archers, maybe some cav actions, I don't know. But we're reaching a stage where we're sort of reorganizing. Each team is sort of trying to get their forces together and make ready for the last battle. But overall, we came out on top here in the middle. We managed to fight off the Milanese and the Portuguese, but our Danish ally had a bit less luck in his engagement. And if you look at the balance of power, it's quite even. They still have a lot of elite units left, while a lot of our forces are perhaps not as good. yeah, so the Venetians got a kind of banged up, but also Milanese, so even trade. And if we look here at Portugal, he still has a lot of elite infantry left, but he has had some problems here with the skirmishing. You see that a lot of the skirmishers belonging to the HRE are still alive. And there's just some archer battle here. He's using the regular formation, which is usually not as good, but since he made a very thin line, it doesn't matter as much. And he's putting down quite a lot of hurt on the Venetian infantry and archers. So as you can see here, a lot of guys just dropping here. And I was basically trying to prepare myself for the Spanish attack that was coming here behind us. And we weren't too worried about the Milanese since they didn't really have a lot of forces to flank us with. Basically all they could do was harass us. So I'm gonna speed up a bit while we're moving, and we basically tried to pull off a bit of a charge here, since we noticed that they weren't really protecting their ally very well. Portugal didn't really have any cav here to help Milan, so we thought like, why not get some free kills? So we managed to kill a lot of them. They didn't really have time to shoot our cavalry since we made a very quick move. And Venice is sort of going all in, which wasn't too necessary since we already killed all the archers. And I wasn't really hyped on wasting all my cav trying to like fight the Portuguese infantry and cavalry. So I was basically like, yeah, you're on your own now. And I was also a bit worried about the Spanish that were like rushing towards me. And I was trying to get some last shots off with my archers, but they sort of were shooting at something else. But I didn't really care too much about my archers, because when the fighting starts, in my opinion, they really don't do much. So it's better to like focus on keeping your cavalry alive and such. And yeah, the Venetians are getting sort of slaughtered down here. They're very depleted. A lot of Portuguese are sort of double teaming him. But here, the HRE managed to get off a good charge, since Portugal left all his cav to fight the Venetians. So he killed a lot of heavy infantry here, despite the fact that it was an uphill charge, which is very impressive. And as we see here, the Venetians are routing, and the Spanish, oh yeah, they tried to charge my infantry, so I just pulled them out very quickly. But the Spanish are charging in, and they also have their pikes ready in formation. He doesn't have a lot of cavalry left though, and I have more. So I was basically thinking that, yeah, I have some advantage in the cavalry department, but not really in the infantry. But unfortunately for me, he had so many pikes, so you can just make basically like a new box around here. That was very difficult for me to penetrate with the cavalry. So my guys here are fighting well, putting up a good fight despite the fact that they're fighting foes that are more heavily armored and stronger. And both pikemen are sort of getting the pikes down, but my guys are sort of losing. And some of these guys were basically trying to harass me. Fortunately for me, I have this great cross, so that sort of negates that a little. And I'm basically trying to get around here, but he has so many pikes that it's kind of difficult. And I also have to be aware of like the cavalry of Portugal that's still roaming around here. And the Milanese cav that's still harassing me. I was trying to catch them with my Great Cross since I really don't need it now because I'm not gonna move from this spot.
It is unwise to praise the day before sunset, but our men are winning the battle and forging a worthy victory.
So as you can see here, it's very intense fighting, but my guys are very steady thanks to the Great Cross, while the Spanish, they're not doing as well actually. They have the advantage, but they're sort of
praise the Almighty. Our enemy
losing
has
their
lost
guts.
his
I don't
stomach
know
to
how to
fight.
say it in
We
English.
must push our advantage.
And I'm constantly here trying to expose his flanks, but he can easily just turn around with his pikemen since he has so many here at the back. So it's very difficult for me to do much here. And here we can see that the Portuguese are starting to engage now here at the HRE. But he has a very strong defensive position here with the pikes and heavy infantry in front to stop anyone getting too close to the pikemen. So it's gonna be very difficult for Portugal to do much, especially since he lost so many men to the cav charges before up here. And Denmark is also pulling up here, exposing his flank, so he's basically dead. So it's basically just Spain here who has a chance if he manages to rout my army. But my guys are still holding despite the fact that, I mean, more than half of them have died. And I'm sort of, by killing a lot of his guys, making it more difficult for him to protect his rear with pikemen since he needs to engage my infantry. So using that opportunity, I managed to get some cav charges off and rout his forces finally. And as you can see here, the reason why the Great Cross is so useful is that a unit like Pike Militia, which usually has trash morale, manages to hold to like 2 guys and not break, even though usually they would just run away the moment they lose like half their unit. So that's why I like playing Italy, is like you can make use of units that usually are very bad, that have very low morale, and make them very strong if you can use the Great Cross. But it's very slow to move, which means it's very difficult to play very offensively with it. So you sort of want to force the enemy to attack you, which was the reason I brought so many archers. Yeah. And now there's not a lot of them left in the battle, so I'm just gonna hurry up for this.
That goes to only men of great
So, the battle was very close for some of us. I mean, basically Denmark, me and Venice, we lost all our guys, while HRE here, he managed to kill his opponent very efficiently, and most of our guys that are still alive at the end of the battle, you know, are in his army. So he definitely did very well here. If you think like KD, he probably got the best in the game. And I managed to get 955 kills, a lot of captured enemies. Venice and Denmark getting a bit less, but they still did very well. Denmark killed all the Spanish cav, which was very useful, and Venice basically managed to kill most of the Milanese forces. And the enemy team struggling a bit. The Portuguese, they didn't do too well. I mean, you'd think that the Portuguese army that was here would do better because they had a very strong position up here on the hill, but he didn't really defend his army very well, and he didn't use his archers too well. His cab sort of just left his army here, and the HRE exploited that to really massacre all of his guys. So if you look here which units did well, you can see that my cavalry managed to do quite well, and that's one of the reasons that I like to not be way too aggressive with my cab, because I think that if the enemy wants to waste their cab on maybe units like archers or taking very risky engagements that are like very profitable, then it's like fine by me, because that just means that at the end of the battle I have a lot of cab and I can use it to flank around and, you know, get a lot of kills when there's not a lot of resistance. And my Pavis crossbowmen not really doing well, but it didn't really matter to me, because the whole point of them was just to force the enemy to come to me so that I didn't really have to move my great cross. And then my feudal knights doing pretty well, getting quite a lot of kills, thanks to the fact that they had some pikemen behind supporting them, and the fact that they didn't get outflanked, etc. And the pikemen, I mean, they're not supposed to get a lot of kills, they're not very good, the pike militia, so I was happy that they held the line. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll do another video if I find a replay or if I play a new game. I mostly just do these videos for fun. I haven't seen a lot of Medieval 2 multiplayer content lately. Maybe I haven't been looking enough. But I just thought it would be fun to show some battles that I thought were pretty dynamic, you know, interesting terrain, a lot of back and forth, you know, and teamwork, a lot of like not just one versus one, but also like teammates helping each other, sending cavalry, etc., which we saw on both teams. So yeah, bye.